Welcome to another episode of Plant Fanatics. Today we're going over part 2 of our rare cold hardy fruiting bushes, so stay tuned.
Before we hop into this awesome list, I'd just like to say thanks so much for getting us to over 8,000 subscribers, and we are excited to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers. If you haven't already subscribed, consider doing that. We put out a lot of great content on cold hardy fruiting plants, and I wouldn't want you to miss it. So without further ado, let's get into this. The first bush on our list is going to be the GOUMI, or the silverberry. The GOUMI is a really exciting fruiting bush for me because of its nitrogen fixing capabilities. What does nitrogen fixing mean in the plant world, you might ask? Well, it basically means that there's a bacteria that has a beneficial relationship with the plant, and it takes atmospheric nitrogen and turns it into a soluble fertilizer that can be used by the plants for growth. So, not to nerd out too much, but basically this is a very good thing for your garden, and it's something that is very unique to only a few plants. The GOUMI is tolerant of many different types of soils, and while it will produce for you in a shady area, it's going to produce a lot better if you can give it more sunlight, preferably somewhere between 6 and 8 hours. It has an extremely tasty fruit that's kind of a sweet tart flavor, which I find to be kind of nature's candy, and I enjoy that kind of flavor. If you pick the fruit too early, it's going to be a bit astringent, so it's really one of those plants you want to pick the fruit when it's perfectly ripe. While it is partially self-fertile, it's going to be best practice to plant at least 2 different varieties of the GOUMI in order to have the largest fruit set. And last but not least, the GOUMI is going to be cold hardy all the way down to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 28 degrees Celsius. So if you don't have this one yet, you're going to want to get your hands on it. Next up, we have the cranberry. While the cranberry is something that's available in the stores, it's a plant that kind of has some confusion built around it, mainly because of the commercials we've seen on TV. When you see cranberries floating on top of standing water, that's not because they actually grow in water, but because that's how commercial growers harvest their crops. When ripe, the cranberry will come off of the plant very easily, so farmers will flood their fields, and because there's a pocket of air inside the cranberry, it'll float to the top of the water, making it very easy for these farmers to collect all of their produce. Cranberries, however, are capable of being grown in your normal everyday backyard garden as long as you take care of the soil pH. Like blueberries, cranberries like an acidic soil, so that's something you're going to want to amend in the area where you plan on planting these. Like most fruiting plants, the cranberry will enjoy having a consistently moist soil, but it does not have to be a bog whatsoever, and in fact, once the plant gets a little more established, will even take soils on the drier side. The fruit has many uses and can be used in things such as cranberry muffins, jams, jellies, and even fruit juices. And it's cold hardy all the way down to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 34 degrees Celsius. So this is definitely a plant you're going to want to add to your collections. Next up on the list is another great fruit, and it's the gooseberry. The gooseberry is a very interesting plant, growing anywhere between 2 and 4 feet tall and 2 and 4 feet wide. It is a very aesthetically pleasing plant to put in the garden. It has a very unique leaf shape to it, and the fruit comes in a wide variety of colors, ranging anywhere from green to purple. The flavor profile can be different, anywhere from sour to sweet, with the green gooseberries being more on the sour side, and the red and purple gooseberries being more on the sweet side. The skin of the fruit is almost translucent and similar in shape to a grape, but the flavor is quite different, I assure you. It's tolerant to a wide variety of soils, making it a great choice for home gardeners, and it's one of my favorite plants to grow, so if you don't have this one, you're going to want to look into it. Next plant up to the plate is going to be the elderberry. The elderberry is an easy to grow, quite vigorous plant that is tolerant of a wide variety of soils, and when I say that this is one of the easiest plants to grow, I am not kidding. The time from cutting to fruit is almost non-existent. Most people will get fruit in its first year, and if not the first year, definitely the second. The ornamental value of the elderberry is out of this world with massive clusters of white or pink flowers. The pollinators are all over this plant, and it's just a beauty to behold in the garden. Though not my first choice as a fresh eating berry, it does great in an elderberry syrup to help ward off those winter sicknesses, and it makes an amazing jelly that tastes great on almost anything. It is self-fruitful, meaning you only need to have one plant in order to get fruit set. One plant will give you an abundance of fruit, enough to make tons of jars of jelly or to make a lot of elderberry syrup. Whatever it is you're wanting to use the plant for, it doesn't take many to make an impact. The elderberry bush does get a little bit taller and wider than most plants at 6 to 10 feet tall and 6 to 12 feet wide. However, it's easy to prune, easy to get fruit off of. It's cold hardy all the way down to negative 35 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 37 degrees Celsius, so this is definitely one you're going to want to grow in the garden. Last on the list is the sea buckthorn, or sea berry as it's also known. The sea berry is a really cool plant for a couple of different reasons, starting with the foliage, which is a beautiful silver green color. The foliage is contrasted by a beautiful little orange berry, which is indicative of its flavor because it has a very citrusy type flavor to it. The fruits have tons of uses spanning from jams and jellies all the way to ice creams, candies, and juices, so it's something that's definitely worth the space in the garden. Another thing that's very interesting about the sea berry is that it's actually a dioecious plant, meaning that the male and female flowers are born on separate plants. So you're going to need to have at least one male plant for every 8 female plants in order to get fruit set. And if the great ornamental value and all the uses of the fruit wasn't enough, this plant is also a nitrogen fixer. It can go in a wide variety of soils and it will actually increase the health of your soil. Coming in at 8 to 20 feet tall, depending on the variety you get. It's certainly not one of the smaller plants on the list. However, I think all the uses of this plant and all the health benefits make it well worth the space. It's cold hardy all the way down to negative 45 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 42 degrees Celsius. So I believe that it's well worth the space. And if you don't have this one, you should get it.
Thanks for checking out the video, guys. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, share with any of your friends who might be interested in this subject, and also check out the AmericanFigCompany.com where we sell over 130 varieties of figs. Thanks so much for watching.